So it's .org games on YouTube, and that way you'll see exactly what my computer sees. I can't log on. I just can't. Oh, never mind. Alright, once you pull that, cool, awesome. Cool, okay, awesome. And for those of you playing games, just think about it for a second. You have all of Mr. Rendon's classes to play video games. You don't have me very long to make video games. Maybe this class gets you playing and follow along and learn something. All right, so let's get this working. And I did different things with each class yesterday, so I just want to definitely make sure. I didn't do a lesson yesterday for the first period, right? Yeah. No lesson? Okay, cool. So this is going to be brand new, and this is something I haven't even shown my classes how to do yet. So you guys are the first. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a new project. Okay. You can keep this in the project you made already. But no, I would say let's do a new project because that way it's daytime, it's not dark, and all that sort of stuff. So I want you to go to File, New Project. If you're in your current project, go to File and then choose New Project. And we are going to do a third-person template again, so third person. And you can name this NPC project. And then hit Create Project. NPC project. Okay, awesome. There's 15 people watching the live stream. Again, if you want to pull that up so you can see what I'm doing here, we will be doing that visual scripting code today. So you're going to want to be able to see, not just hear, what my screen looks like. And so if you're not like right up front, definitely pull up the live stream. Again, go to YouTube.org games, D-O-T-W-A-R-E, one word, and then click on the video that says live. Oh, okay, so we have our third-person project, right? Yours should be created or you're creating it currently. Again, it's just a reminder, you guys have questions about Unreal and game development and all that stuff or things you want me to cover today, let's cover that either during the lesson or toward the end of the lesson so that we can get that covered. And again, I'll give it a minute to load because I know some of your projects are still loading. One thing that we can consider when making something with NPCs and AI is we'll definitely be using blueprints, right? We'll be using those coded kind of things. What I'd like to do is to sort of create a full world so that I have NPCs going around to different locations. And then once they get to another location, once they get to the location they're trying to get to, they then go to some other location, right? And what would be nice is if they all go to them randomly. And maybe if we have time, we can make it so they all kind of move at random speeds, right? So some are walking to the location, some are running to their locations, that sort of thing. Good analogy would be like in Skyrim, right? You look at a town like River Run or whatever, and you've got people going to different locations. One guy goes to the blacksmith forge and hangs out there for a little while, hammering some iron. Some other person goes over to this farm over here and does something there. And then they leave and they go to the tavern after a certain amount of time. What we're building is kind of the foundation of a system that could be used to create something like that. You know, a living, breathing world where people go to places. One thing we're going to do is we're going to create a blueprint for a waypoint. A waypoint would be a location for the NPC to actually go to. And the reason that I'd like to do that is, yeah, we can code it so that the NPC can just go anywhere randomly in the world. But there's a lot of places you don't want the NPC going. You don't want the NPC going, you know, and standing in the middle of a river or something. You don't want him going, you know, to some far off place. By creating a waypoint, what we'll do is we'll create these strategic locations that you and I can use can move around as level designers and say, okay, here's a possible location that the NPC AI can go to if he so chooses, if it so randomly gets picked, that sort of thing. All right, are we waiting for any other projects? Raise your hand if your project is still loading. Okay, we will begin. So first thing I'd like you to do is to delete these 4 walls on your example map. You can just do that by clicking and then hitting the delete key in your keyboard, delete the 4 walls. Because we're about to make a much bigger world for our NPCs to roam around and explore in. And again, just a refresher from yesterday, you hold down the right mouse button, and that's how you move around. With your left hand, WASD, those keyboard keys, that's how you fly around. As long as you're holding down the right mouse button. You hold down the right mouse, you move your mouse, right? And that's how you look around. All right, after you delete the walls, I want you to go into landscape mode. We're going to create a big landscape, and that's in the upper left. There's a mountain icon called landscape. Click on that. All right. Once you've done that, your whole map turns green. It's a green grid right here. Before we hit create, we'll do that in a second. Let's set a material for this landscape. So on the left in the new landscape mode, after you click the mountain, you see it says material. It currently says none. Let's change that to something that we like. I'm going to change mine to grass. Grass is a good material, especially for a landscape. And then hit create. I'm going to look all checkerboard pattern for now. That's because the shaders are compiling, which is just language saying that the materials are loading in.
I can't do that on my computer. It gives me a copy of it.
Okay, can the people next to James, can you help assist him on his computer? That would have to stop the lesson. Okay, so one thing you have in your viewport here is this brush sort of thing. If you click, right, you can sculpt a little mountain. And now this isn't a landscape tutorial necessarily, but I'm going to sculpt a little bit. Why not? Just make my world a little interesting. I do that by clicking. And if I want to lower it, I hold shift and click. So hold shift and click, and you can lower for areas like valleys and lakes and stuff. And you click to make hills. Looks fairly good to me. All right. Okay, this is a good world for us. Now, what I want to do now is let's leave landscape mode. So to do that, upper left button in the upper left of modes panel, which is on the left. Click the place button, just this icon over in the far left. Okay, that just puts us back into the normal mode. Now we're not sculpting, so we can do other things. All right, first thing we want to do is we want that NPC to exist. How do we make an NPC exist? One way is to take the third-person character and make him behave like something different, something that isn't an NPC. So what we'll do is we don't want to mess up our third person character because we're going to play as him. But what we can do is make a copy of our third person character and then just change the code and the way he looks and everything so that that copy ends up being our NPC. So in the content browser, in the bottom of the bottom of Unreal, I want you to click the little tiny button right underneath Add New and to the right next to Filters. Just a little button like that. And that's going to open up all of the folders so we can see all the folder names. And what we want to do is just go to the third person BP folder and then go into the blueprints folder, and then there's our character. It's called third person character. Alternatively, you can you can click on the content folder, and then in the search bar here, you can type in third person character. But you want third person character, and we're not going to open up third person character. Instead, what we're going to do is in the content browser, we're going to right click and duplicate third person character. So right click, duplicate, and then rename the new duplicated character NPC. And now let's double click NPC to open NPC up. And when you open it up and you get a new blueprint, always, always, always make it a big window because we're going to need it. So drag this tab up right next to the other tab so we have a big window to work with. Okay. I'll repeat those steps one more time, just for those who are a little bit behind. What we just did is we went to the content browser. It's the bottom panel with all our files and folders. We found our third person character. He's in a folder called third person BP. And then in the blueprints folder of that, you found your third person character, or you just searched for it, third person character. Anyway, you found him in the content browser. You right clicked on him and you chose duplicate, which made a copy of him. That copy we can now open and change everything about, and we won't mess up the original character. So then after I had you rename it NPC, and then we double clicked and we opened up our NPC. And now we're on a window that looks like this, right? This is our NPC. And the NPC has all the code that the character has. And honestly, we can just leave this as it is. It's not going to do anything to affect our NPC. So I'm going to leave it alone, even though our NPC is not going to be really using this code. But what I do want to do is let's go to the viewport of the NPC. NPC, by the way, if you don't know, stands for non-player character. It's any character that isn't the player in a video game is an NPC. So first thing I'd like to do is let's just delete the camera, because then we'll know immediately when we see this that this is not our player character. This is an NPC. NPCs aren't going to have a camera. So delete the camera. And then let's also change the material in his body. So in the details panel where it says materials, change the material. And this is while you have mesh selected. So with mesh selected, you click on his body, whatever, right? Details panel on the right. Change his body to something else. I'll change it to like this wood pine material. And once you've set its mesh to a new material, let's go to the front of Unreal again. So we're back at the front. And let's drag a few of these NPCs from our content browser into our world here. Let's drag several of them. So you dragged several NPCs in here. If you couldn't find it in your content browser, you can also go into Modes panel and type in NPC there as well. Or whatever you named that character. So if I hit play, they're there, okay? Now hit play. Do you see them all? Do you see your NPCs? So if you hit play, do you see your NPCs? I'm not hearing any response, so I'm going to assume yes. There's sometimes an issue where you don't see them. So I'll make sure that you see them. And all right. Next up, what I want you to do is we're going to make a new blueprint. And I mentioned earlier that we're going to do something with a waypoint. We're going to create a waypoint. And what's cool is we won't do any code on this. We'll just make a blueprint, but it will be, remember blueprint's a coded object. But it'll just be called waypoint. All the code will happen on the NPC in a minute. So go to add new, green add new button in the left, lower left, add new, click on that, and then choose blueprint class. Blueprint class. And when you do that, you're going to get this menu that comes up. And this is how you make a new blueprint. This is how you make a new thing. If you're really a game developer, you do this a lot, actually. And what's nice is you have all these different types of blueprints, right? Or you can pick these different classes. 99.9% of the time, you're just going to choose actor, that first one. The other ones are just different versions of actor that come with extra functions and extra things with them already that are useful for those types of things. Like a pawn and a character are basically the same thing. It's just any type of character that you can play, you're going to choose that instead of an actor, that sort of thing. But we're going to choose actor today, so choose actor. And then all you want to do is name this waypoint. So name it waypoint, and then drag waypoint into your world. Hi. I'm actually, I flipped with Mr. Rendon, so he's in 641.
Okay, just do it right first.
Oh yeah, which student? Hey, Jonathan Bound. She needs you. What's that? Jonathan Bound. You need to work.
Can you check on a Jonathan LaGuardia?
Work.
New class. You're supposed to be at new class. Do you have any work for me?
Today, no, we're doing lab.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll review what we just did. We hit add new, we chose blueprint class, we chose actor, and then we named that actor waypoint. So if you remember, name the new blueprint you just made waypoint, do that now. Name it waypoint. And then I want you to drag that waypoint into your world. Drag a few of them. Drag several waypoints into your world from wherever you want. These are the locations that the NPCs will go to. So I'm going to drag a few waypoints. All right, next up, let's go back to that NPC blueprint, and now we're really going to code this whole situation. Okay, so I want you on the NPC blueprint. You should have it up already in the tab, or you can just click on the NPC, any of the NPCs in the world, hit Edit Blueprints, the Details panel, open Blueprint Editor. Okay, now we have this, this open. So first thing I want you to do is let's go to the event graph. Click on the tab. This is event graph. And remember, this is where all the coding happens. And to move around this, you hold down the right mouse button, right? And you drag your mouse. So drag us up to a blank area of space. So find an empty area graph where we can write some code. And now we want to start. So let's do this as a custom event. Custom events are, it's just a way of naming an event. And what is an event? An event is something that happens, right? Like me coming late today, that was an event. That was an event, right? I came late and then that caused class or whatever. Right? So events cause things, the things that happen. So in this case, we're gonna make a custom event responsible for sending the AI to one of these waypoints. So to do that, right click and type in custom event. And then for the name of the custom event, just name it NPC. You could do spaces for this. You can do spaces, which I will. NPC go to waypoint. Or even go to random waypoint if you want. I'll do that. NPC go to random waypoint. So you've named it, now you have this NPC go to random waypoint. And dragging off of here, we're gonna write all the code that happens whenever this event gets fired. So the first thing we wanna do is drag off of this event and type in get all actors of class. Get all actors of class. Choose the get all actors of class that comes up. This is a really cool blueprint function where basically it gets all of the examples, let's say, of a blueprint in your world. Okay, so remember we dragged all those waypoints in there? Well, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get all of those waypoints and then we'll have access to them and then we can pick from them and say, okay, go to waypoint number 7 or whatever and pick it randomly. So once you've chosen get all actors of class, in the actor class option where it says select class, click on the drop down and type in waypoint and it'll come up because you made that waypoint blueprint. So choose waypoint. There you go. So where it says get all actors class, actor class, make sure that that is now set to waypoint. That's going to get all of the waypoints in your world. All right, next up, we want to, where it says out actors, that's going to be the list of all the waypoints. So we want to drag off of the thing that says out actors on that little Minecrafty looking block thing on whatever that symbol is, right? That's a symbol for a list in Unreal, also known as an array. If you hear an array, that just means a list. So drag off of that and then let go. And then type in get, just the word get, G-E-T. And then it might say like get a copy or get a reference, whatever. And if it does, just put get a copy. But you just want to do get. What get's going to do is it's going to get one of the things in the list. It's going to get one of the waypoints. Which waypoint is it going to get? Well, that's what this number is for in the get. On the get node, there's a little number. It defaults to 0. And so what it's saying there is, hey, I'm going to get waypoint number 0, which means it's the first waypoint it finds. It's going to get that one. So get gets something from a list. Get all actors of class gets all of the things of that type and makes a list out of them. All right, so we'll do the random code in a second, but for now, let's just get the AI moving around. So what we'll do is we'll leave this get at 0 for now, which means that all of our AI, once we get this working, are going to go only to one waypoint. They're all going to rush to waypoint number 0, whichever waypoint that is. So, but we'll randomize that in a second. But let's get the AI moving. So what I want you to do is drag off of get all actors of class. So drag off that sideways triangle. Let go, and I want you to type in AI move to. AI move to. You want to pull up the AI move to node. This is what will move a character around AI move to. And once you have AI move to there, there's a couple things we got to put in here. For example, we have to put in something to the target actor on AI move to. You see there's a little option on AI move to called target actor. Okay. That's the thing that it's going to, right? What is the target? Where are we going? In this case, we want to go to that waypoint. So I want you to connect that output on get, the blue circle, to the blue circle that says target actor on AI move to. So get is now getting plugged into target actor. There's one more thing you got to do on this, which is what is being moved? Who's moving? And that's what pawn is all about, where it says pawn. In this case, we're writing all this code on the NPC itself. So when I say it's being written on the NPC itself, the NPC needs to be moving to the thing. In which case, all you got to do is drag off of pawn and type in self. Drag off pawn, and then choose get reference to self. All right, your code should look like mine. And what we want to do is one last thing as far as this is concerned is this event, remember it's an event, but it's not being triggered. There's nothing saying this event should fire yet. So it's just going to sit here not doing anything until it's told to start. And we're just going to start that event on an event called begin play, because event begin play is a, let's go ahead and do this. Right click, type in begin play. Right click on empty area graph, type in begin play. Okay, and then click that. You get this event called event begin play. Event begin play is an event that gets fired once when the game starts, which is a perfect place to tell the NPC to go to the waypoint. So once you have event begin play, drag off of event begin play and type in the name of that custom event, NPC, go to random waypoint, whatever you've named it, and it'll come up and choose it, and then you'll get this blue thing with the name NPC go to random waypoint, which is saying this is calling this event to happen. Okay. All right, so that's it for the code for now. We'll still got to randomize it, which isn't a lot of code, but that's what that looks like. Let's go to the front of Unreal again. There's one final last thing we got to do, which is if we just hit play right now, they're not going to move anywhere. The reason is you need what's called get ready for it, nav mesh bounds volume. What is that? Sounds complicated. It isn't. All it is a box. It's a box that you want to drag over the majority of your level because it's responsible for calculating areas where you don't have to worry about the code, but it has code that calculates where NPCs can go and walk around and where they can't, so that they don't just run off a cliff, and so that they don't just try and run through a wall. They'll run around the wall, that sort of thing. So we're going to get that from the modes panel on the left. So on the left, the modes panel, type in NAV for nav mesh, and you want to find the nav mesh bounds volume. And just drag that into your world. Like I said, it's just a box. And then last thing you gotta do is just scale it so that it fits all the world where your NPCs can walk, including where your NPCs are currently at. Because if they run to the end of the nav mesh, they'll stop. They can never walk or move out anywhere outside of this box. So I'm gonna make it really big by scaling it, right, using the scale tool. So my nav mesh is really, really big. And just to illustrate this for you, on my screen, I'll hit the P key, which you can do as well, and this will show you all the areas, if you've done it correctly, all the areas where that they can walk. So we hit P. Everything that's highlighted green are areas where they can walk. Anything that's not highlighted green is areas where they cannot walk. Okay, that should do it. If you've done all that, hit play. And there my NPCs go. They're all running to that one waypoint. And like I said, though, they just go to that one and they stop, which is cool for like a second, but we want them to move around to other locations and all that sort of stuff. So I'm gonna hit escape to leave that mode. Let's make it so that they go to other waypoints. And let's make it so that when they get to a waypoint and they successfully have gotten there, that they then decide to go to some other waypoint. So go to our NPC graph, go to our NPC again. Let's look at our code, okay? So I want you on your graph with your code where it says NPC go to random waypoint. Now, remember with this get here, we're getting an item from a list, which is a list of all the waypoints in our world. But get only gets waypoint number 0. So it's always getting the same waypoint, and then that's it. What we want to do is we want to randomize this number so that it picks a random waypoint every time. Now, drag off of the green bubble on get, that's our number, drag off of it, and just type in the word random. And there's several randoms. Now we want to choose, when I think about this, we don't want to just choose random integer, because what if it comes up with a random number that's 955, but we only have 10 waypoints? What's going to happen? It's just, nothing's going to be done because there is no waypoint 955. So we want to keep it limited to the number of waypoints we currently have. So the best way to do that is to do random integer in range. Random integer in range. So choose random integer in range. And what that gives us is a minimum and a maximum. Now just thinking about it, minimum, what do we keep that? 0, exactly. We're going to keep that at 0. Okay. Maximum though, Now we could enter in a number here manually by like typing in 50 or something. Don't do that, but we could. The reason I don't want to do that is, I don't want to go in here and change the code every single time I decide that I want a new location that an NPC can go to, that I want to drag a new waypoint in there. Instead, I'd like the limit for the max to just know the limit of all the waypoints. And actually, we can do that really easily by getting the length of the list. Because if we get the length of the list, if the list has 12 waypoints in it, then our maximum will be 12. So our random number will only come between 0 and 12. So it will always pick waypoint. And what's nice is there's all you have to do is drag off of your list. So where it says get all actors of class, remember that? And where it says out actors, where we're getting our list of our waypoints, drag off that and type in length. And give us the length of our list. So you drag off of out actors on the get all actors of class node, and then type in length. And then length, you'll plug into max. So you'll plug in length to max. So now it's saying, hey, random integer between 0 and the max, which is the length of the list. Okay, that way this code will always work. It'll always grab a waypoint, no matter how many waypoints or no matter how many or how few waypoints you have in your world. It'll always work. Okay, last thing to do, move over to this AI move to. By the way, the hard part's over. Move over to this AI move to thing here. And you'll notice at the very end of AI move to, you have on success and on fail. On success and on fail are just mean if, hey, does he successfully get to his waypoint? And what I like to do is re-trigger our custom event called NPC go to random waypoint once he gets the waypoint. That way, if he gets to the waypoint he was supposed to go to, this whole code gets called again and then he goes to another random waypoint. It's really easy. Drag off of on success, which means you successfully got there, and type in the name of your custom event. NPC go to random waypoint. That's all you got to do. That means that when he gets there, it will recall the whole event, and the whole thing will start again. And for bonus points, what I like to do is plug in on fail into there as well, because sometimes it won't register as a successful, like he successfully got there. And on fail will trigger instead if he gets like stuck behind something or whatever. So what I'm saying is, hey, regardless if he succeeds or fails, I want him to go find another waypoint. So on A, I move to on success, and on fail now have our calling the NPC go to random waypoint, custom event we made. And that's it. Hit play and enjoy the chaos. What's really fun to do with this too is to just make an absurd amount of NPCs and just watch the ant farm grow larger. So I'm gonna do that. I'll just save because you can crash your editor if you do this. All right, cool. For educational purposes, I just made an absurd amount of people that we're now going to watch scatter and move about. Here we go. See that? Rendon 641.
Thanks.
See all this? They're like ants. Now think of this as the beginning of the system. You know, yes, they're all going to random waypoints, and it's all random, and they don't do anything when they get there except decide to go to another random waypoint. Although some of them are interesting, like they're like conglomerating here, having conversations, and then they leave. I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe they're growing intelligent. I don't know. However, let's see, right? This is why we need to be able to shut these computers off at some point. It looks like they're talking, but about what I don't know. Anyhow, one thing that I want you to realize with this is, yes, okay, they're going these things randomly, but it's not that far off in terms of like what you got to develop a code to make them, you know, stay at a waypoint for a random amount of time, you know, by putting a delay on it before it gets re-triggered. For example, making it so some waypoints would trigger an animation that you imported or something. That would be like the Skyrim example of, you know, hammering iron or whatever for like a period of time, using the forge, whatever, sitting down. And so imagine triggering different animations, things like that. Other thing is we could definitely quite easily vary the characteristics of the NPCs themselves. So give the NPCs their own ways of being individual and unique, including changing their speeds, so that some will walk, some run, all that sort of thing. In fact, let's do that. Hit escape. Hit escape so you stop playing. What I want to do is click on your NPC on the graph. Let's go to our graph on NPC. And let's make it so that the speeds of the NPCs are random as well, since we're doing random stuff. Or if they're not random, maybe just that we set them. How about that? So this is a good example of a time where we would use the construction script. Construction script, not the event graph. So go to construction script. go to this construction script tab, and then drag out the character movement from the components tab, drag out the thing that says character movement onto your graph. And character movement, if you click on it in the if you click on it and look at the details panel, you have all these settings for how your character moves, including one called walk speed. Walk speed. That's how fast the character moves. So what we can do is, now we've dragged character movement onto our construction script graph, drag off of character movement now, and type in set speed, and you're going to get set max walk speed. So then choose set max walk speed. Once you've gotten that, this green bubble here, drag off of it, the first one, the one that says max walk speed, drag off of that, and then choose promote to variable. This is just a quicker way of making a variable. You can make a variable over here on the left, or you can drag off there and choose promote to variable. And then select that variable, and the details panel on the right, rename it NPC speed. And then with NPC speed selected, we'll hit compile in the upper left. It's a little gear icon. It says compile. Hit that, and that'll let us change the speed. Click on NPC speed, and then in the details panel where it says default value, change that to 600, because that's what their running speed is anyway. And then just make sure you connect that construction script to the front of the set speed. So make sure you connect that over. Okay, now select NPC speed, and in the details panel on the left there, where it says variables, in the category variables, there's a little eyeball icon. It looks like it's a closed eyeball. If you click on that, it'll open up, and it's very clearly an eyeball. That means that you can now change that setting on each NPC in the level designer, in the viewport, right? So open the little eyeball icon, hit compile, hit save. Then when you find an NPC over here, you can click on them, and in their details panel, you'll see something called NPC speed. And on this one, I can change his speed to only be 300. And on this one, I can change his speed to only be 200. And on this one, I can change his speed to be only 1,000. And on this one, I can change the speed only to be 50. And so I'm going to have one really fast guy, some slow guys, and we'll see what this is. Although a lot of people look at it. Oh, there's my slow guy. I can see him. Right there. Right there. I like him because he kind of looks like he's just walking somewhere. Like he's got no place to be. Very casually walking. Anyway, so that's that. So I want you to mess with that. And Are there any questions from this class that I can answer? Related to this, related to something else in development? Yeah, is it a hand?
Yeah. So how can you take make an NPC into a first-person shooter, like example map?
Make an NPC in the first-person shooter example map?
Yeah.
Okay, it's a great question. So what's great is all that stuff, all these templates are accessible to you. They can just be added. This is the process. So if you hit add new, right here, add new button, just like we did our blueprint, and then choose add feature or content pack at the very top. Look, you have all the templates there. I have all the templates. So let's say if I were you, what I would do is I would create my game as the first person project template, because you want a gun conceivably, right? Is that the idea? Okay, so you would create your project as the first person project, and then you would go to, once that was open, you'd hit add new, feature content pack, and then you choose third person and you'd add that to the project, and that will give you all of the folders where you have the NPC, the third person character in it and all that. You can just either use him or right click and then duplicate him and then create an NPC out of that and that sort of thing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, great question. Yeah, all that stuff can be imported. You can even add things like the vehicle template, the flying vehicle, and then do the blueprint scripting in such a way that, let's say you're in a first-person project, but then when on the end of the level, the player discovers this flying vehicle, it can get in it and then pilot that, and actually be flying that character, that flying pawn. So all that stuff is accessible. You just hit add new, feature content pack. Great question. What else? Any other questions? Yeah, the hand over. AI that chases a player. Not hard to do. We can do that right now. What that would look like is just trying to think how I want to do it. Okay, I'm gonna write the code for it. This is what this would look like. I'm gonna make it a custom event. Okay, could just be done on begin play too, but I'm gonna do custom event. So right click, type in add custom event, and this time I'll name this NPC chase player. Okay. And this works not just if you're being chased, but like let's say you have a companion or something, that sort of idea. So NPC chase player, and what we want to do is in the empty area graph right near this, we want to right click and type in get player character. Get player character. This is similar to a get all actors of class that we did for our waypoints, but we have one unique just for a character, and it doesn't give us a list, it just gets us player character. You'll notice it says player index 0, but we can just leave that as default, because unless you're doing a multiplayer game, you don't need to specify which player it is. There's only ever one character. So get player character, and then you drag off of get player character, and then you want to type in third person character and choose cast a third person character. The reason you want to do that is making sure that the current player character is a third person character. Because like I said before, if I had the flying vehicle on here, I'm suddenly playing that flying vehicle character. So we only want the NPC to chase the player character, right? Not the flying vehicle or whatever. Think about this, like if you ever play a game like Halo or something, you play many different characters. You play Master Chief in first person mode, but then you also play the Warthog character when you get in there. You think you're Master Chief driving the Warthog, but no, you're playing the Warthog character. When you get in the flying vehicle with the Banshee or the Hornet, you're playing those characters. Okay? So you can be many different characters over the course of a game. So what this does is just make sure that, get my player character, make sure he's a third person character. Okay, cool. Connect those, connect that custom event here. And what we want to do next is do an AI move to. Okay, we did that over here already. So drag off, type in AI move to. Right, we just did this. AI move to. And for pawn, remember that's going to be self because we're coding this on the NPC. The NPC is the ones doing the chasing. So drag off pawn, type in self. Good. Now, the question is, how do we make him follow the third person character? Well, target actor is the thing to go to, right? That's where the NPC is going. And then we have this cast a third person character. What we need to do is drag off of third person character. Sean, it's like counseling. Thank you very much. How much time we got? You can if you want. It's up to you. So AI move to target actor, right? That's where the third person character is. Sorry, AI move to is where the NPC is supposed to be going to. We'll just plug in the thing that says as third person character on the cast node into the target actor. Okay. That's all you got to do, and that then works. And then I need to trigger this event to happen, right? So what I'll do is I'll put this on begin play. I'll disconnect my waypoint one for now, and now I'll just drag off begin play and do chase, go to chase player, whatever it's called, NPC chase player. Now all the NPCs are going to be chasing me when the game starts. So if I hit play, see, they all come at me. It looks like 109.
Where's that exactly?
Does anybody know where room 109 is? I'm not sure. Anybody happen to know room 109? Can you help me out? Guys, anybody know where room 109 is? Well, where are the 100s? Are they like, it's a certain building, right? All the 100s are near each other.
There's a map of the school.
Oh.
They're not really just going out to see the next person, see or whatever, and ask them. Okay.
So, only thing I'd add to this here is the same thing we added before, which is I don't want them to stop following me. So I'm gonna call that event again on the on success and on fail parts of AI move to. So on success, I'll do chase player again. And this is basically like exactly the code I would do if I was doing like a Slenderman game or any of that sort of thing. It's like, get player character, cast a third person character, AI move to, make sure self is plugged into pawn, and the target actor is the third person character coming from the cast. And then I recall it again. And it's all called for the first time, of course, on begin play. Now when I hit play, they're just gonna mob me around. Right? And then they got me stuck. Here I'm being chased at an alarming rate. So yeah, it's all about target actor. If this the short version of what we just did is we did all this code. So we didn't do the get all actors of class. We did our own kind of unique thing. That's when we ever want to get the third person character, and then just the target actor is the thing you're following. If you don't have anything plugged into Tractor, it will default to this location or destination setting. So you could literally like find something in your world and pick, click on it and look at its details panel, what its actual location is, and copy that number and put it into there. Usually there's not much a point to doing that. I'd rather do it like we're doing it with our waypoints. I could just move this waypoint around, and put it somewhere. If I had a full level, this would be more evident. Like let's say I have a well or a cemetery or something, and I want to put a waypoint like over by a grave, and now an NPC is going to go there occasionally. That's a great idea, and I don't know where that grave's going to be until maybe much later as the level gets designed. But by using this waypoint system, I don't have to like manually type in locations or anything. I can just move this right into the place I want it to be and then call it a day. It's a good system. And that's a good question. So yes, you can definitely make the enemies follow the player, just like that. Cool. Other questions? I'm looking for hands. Any other questions? I'd be happy to answer. Okay, so then the rest of the class is a lab day for you guys to work and mess around with this sort of stuff. Like I said, make an obnoxious amount of NPCs, see if you can change them, see if you can make them chase different things, all the different stuff, and have fun with them.
Oh, wait. Only if it's less than or equal Oh my God. It's nothing plays. Less than or equal to 3. It's regular.
Oh my God, I just now.
Oh, okay. Because he should have pulled up the question. Yeah. Yeah, you would have. I just get a copy of the essay and was ready. I should get that. This thing has more drip. Morning, sir.
Morning.
I was wondering why I was charging. I like to actually accept it. Well, accept mine. Which one? They pointed at him. No. Yeah, that's so weird. Why are you here? Because I was insulted. Chris, hello, mister. Good morning.
Morning.
I'm working on getting. No, I'll make the last part of the quest resets. Yeah, I know. I have.